This is your boy DJ Leon D, and on this channel we talk about travel, money, and lots of cooking. Three things I know quite a bit about. I'm not an expert at anything. Nope, not an expert. I just been around a long time and know a lot. Let's get it on. This is your boy DJ Leon D. I'm going to talk about how to properly cook a brisket, because I seen a lot of y'all do it wrong and you're proud of it, but it's all wrong. So let me tell you how I do mine, and then I'm going to make sure that you do yours right, because you guys just don't do it right. Now, a brisket is a heavy piece of meat. It's not something like a hot dog. You're not going to impress me by cooking a 20-pound brisket in 20 minutes. Nope, that's not how it works. So let me get down to it. The things you do wrong and the things that you do right, because I see a lot of y'all don't do a lot of things right. And that's fine if it's for yourself, but it's not okay if you're cooking for me. So let me tell you what you do wrong. In this video, you're going to see me prepping and trimming a brisket. I trim out a lot of fat. I try to get down to a 1/4 inch of fat at the most. A 1/4 inch of fat at the most on my brisket. I don't want a brisket that's got a 1/2 inch of fat on it. Now, you need some fat because the fat is going to render out. And see, what a lot of people do wrong, they cook at the wrong temperature. Let me tell you how I do mine. They cook at the wrong temperature and they cook at the wrong amount of time. Yes. If I buy a 20-pound brisket, before I trim it, I'm going to cook it for 20 hours. If I buy one that's 16 pounds, 16 hours. That's how I do it. And I'm going to put it at 250. So I know that my Timberline and my Ironwood and my Pro 34 is going to be all right. So that's what I do. So don't get the temperature wrong. That's the first thing everybody do wrong. The second thing is you got to do this. You got to use the right rub. Now, I'm not a person who goes out and get all kind of rubs and get fancy with it. No. I don't use McCormick's either. I like a lot of salt, a lot of pepper, and occasionally some garlic. I like garlic on it a little bit too. And see, the problem with brisket is that you got to cook it real slow. It's not something you cook hot and quick. You don't put it on a grill. No, you put it on a smoker, because then it's going to come out nice and juicy and nice and tender. Also, I spritz my brisket about every hour, maybe every 45 minutes. I spritz the brisket. So don't use the wrong rub. That's number 2. Number 3, give it a lot of smoke time. Some of you smoke it like you're smoking weed. You want to, no. I usually smoke mine for 3 to 4 hours. Around 185 degrees, 3 to 4 hours, 185 degrees. It's not weed, people. It's not weed. So don't go there thinking you're going to impress yourself. And one of the other things, number 4, that really bothers me the most is that people don't let it rest long enough. I let my brisket rest 3 to 4 hours once I get it to the right temperature. I mean, internal temperature, people, internal temperature. I let mine rest for a while. I'm not in a rush. No less than 2 hours. Let it get back down to room temperature. Yes. So let it get back down to room temperature and don't be rushing it. I mean, it's not a quick race. And then whoever starts to cook the brisket, they should finish the brisket. Don't have people going in between you and somebody else and all this other stuff. Whoever starts it, let them do the brisket. If I can't finish a brisket, I'm not going to let somebody else walk in and finish the brisket. Because see, what I'm doing right now, I'm prepping the brisket. I'm taking off all the fat I don't want, because I don't want that fat to render. Now, saying that, some people let the fat render and they use the au jus. I do too, but I don't need 5 cups of fat to boil down to grease before I put the grease back on top of the brisket. No, I don't do that personally. And one thing people do too, they want to peek and take a look at the brisket as the brisket's cooking. If you got a 16-hour cook, the only time you should be worried about that brisket cooking, the only time you should be worried about that brisket cooking is when you get ready to wrap it or take it off. And when I wrap it, I put it in a pan. I take it off, wrap it, put it in a pan, because I got all the smoke flavor I want from that particular wrap. I got all the smoke flavor I want, and I got the bark I want on it. You should have your bark before you wrap, because you're not gonna. There's no way you can create a bark after you wrap. No way in hell. So, one thing I said earlier that I'm gonna say that some people don't do. They don't spray the fat. I spray the hell out of it. I spray it a lot. Some people don't do that because they think that, oh, I got all the fat I need, but I trim my brisket a lot. I trim it a lot, and then I spray the fat I got left, which is not very, very much. And some people say, hey, all I need is salt and pepper. That's really all you need, but I like mine to have a little garlic taste to it. So spray the fat is what you should do. But once you wrap it, there's no need to spray ever again, because now you're going to create the au jus. Now you're going to create all the grease you're going to need to put back into the brisket. And that comes in handy when you're doing burnt ends. Now, I love burnt ends as much as the next person. I love burnt ends. Now, some of you don't let the brisket smoke long enough. You don't. And I can tell. There's no smoke taste on your brisket at all. Like I said, I can tell. But I like mine to be smoky as hell. Matter of fact, I can call mine Smokey the Bear. You know, I like mine to be smoky as hell. Now, number 9, a lot of things people do is that they don't let the brisket cook evenly, because a brisket is not like a square. It's not going to cook evenly. So I rotate mine so that the hot spot on the left now becomes a hot spot on the right, because I move the brisket around and I switch the brisket 90 degrees. Yes, I do. Because every single smoker got a hot spot and a cold spot. And when you have that, the meat is going to cook at different times for the same temperature. Yes, your meat will cook at different times for the same temperature. So those are things you got to do. And number 10, which really, really bothers me a lot, you cannot buy low quality meat. You can't do that. Some of you doing it right now. You're going to Costco and you're buying a cheap piece of meat, or Sam's Club, you're buying a cheap piece of meat, and they have better cuts. They have better cuts than what you're buying today. Yes, it's not that difficult to go and say, I want a quality piece of meat. And then you go ahead and you cook the meat. Now, in this video, you're going to see me doing 2 briskets at one time. 2 at one time. I have cooked 4 at one time on my timberline. Yep, I have did 4 at one time on my timberline. I have did 4 on, I have did 4 on the Pro 34. Just remove the top grate and you're good to go. And you're good to go. I remove the top grate all the time. I do that so that I can get 4 on there, and then I can put a full size steam pan in there when I want to get the au jus after I wrap it. Once you wrap it, there's not a lot to do other than just wait on the time. Once it hit 205, bing, you're done. You can go at a lower temperature, but the meat is going to be tougher. And if you go at a higher temperature, the meat's going to dry out. It's going to crumble in your hands. And then you're going to be crying like a little bitch because it's not what you expect. So don't go buying low quality meat. A brisket is not a kind of meat that you want to really cut dollars on. When you think you're ready to do a brisket, you should be ready to do a brisket. But you should also have the funds to buy a quality piece of meat. You can't say, I'm going to do a brisket, but I want $2 a pound, unless you're in Texas. But on the East Coast, you're not going to get that. You're not going to get that. Now, number 11, don't wrap your brisket wrong. Buy some quality butcher's papers. You know what I mean? I buy butcher paper and just do it correctly. Just do it right. Because there's no need to cut corners on a brisket. A brisket is a high quality piece of meat. It's an expensive piece of meat, but just do it correctly. That's all you got to do is say, hey, I'm doing the brisket. I'm buying some meat that's going to cost some money. I'm buying decent butcher paper. Everything I buy with my brisket is top quality. And it's not just the brisket, it's all the meats I buy. Every single piece of meat I buy is top quality. I don't cut corners on my meat because you know what? You're feeding friends, you're feeding family. Just go do it. Do it the right way. Some of you people are just cheap as shit to the day you die. And you can't really compare a butcher's cut versus a Costco cut because I was in a store one time. This lady, she wanted some brisket. So he cut her a piece and it was 12 pounds, which is nice for family size. He trimmed it for her, all the fat, everything else. And then she said, can you reweigh it? He said, why? For some reason, she thought that she was going to get it at a cheaper price because once it was trimmed off, she thought that that's what she was going to pay. I don't know where she's from, but where I'm from, no one's ever going to say, hey, here go 5 pounds of beef. Let me trim out the fat. Oh, you got 4 pounds. You're paying for the 4 pounds. No. You're not paying for the 4 pounds anymore, lady. You're paying for what you started with. He trimmed it without charging you a labor charge. That's what I would have charged you. Because once I start trimming, that's time. That's effort. That's money. That's love. And, you know, I knew she had no clue because she was like, well, now that you're from 12 pounds down to 7.5, 8 pounds, 9 pounds, she was thinking it'll get done a lot quicker. No. Set your temperature and your brisket is done when it's done, not when you want it to be done. That's not how it works. So that's kind of how it worked out for her. I'm sure when she got home and she saw she was paying $4 a pound, that it was never going to be what she thought, what she thought it should be. And now I tell people all the time, if you want to fuck a brisket up, treat it like roast beef or even pit beef. But roast beef or corned beef, what the Jewish people call it, that just screws up a brisket. Corned beef is nasty. But if you grew up thinking that corned beef, pickled corned beef, all that stuff is good, if you grew up thinking that way, it's still good. But it's just not good. And I get mad at my friends because they say, oh, corned beef isn't that bad. That's great for a deli sandwich. But a corned beef is nothing like a well done or somebody who cooks a brisket for a living. And when I tell you get it to 205, that's because I don't want you to ruin that brisket. Now, here's the number one problem people have with brisket. The number one problem people have with brisket. Now, this is number 12 of things you can do wrong. But the number one problem is that people trim, they don't know how to trim a brisket. They just do not know how to trim a brisket. No. You have to trim the brisket before you start seasoning. And this video, you're going to show me, I'm going to show you how to season a brisket. You got to season it, get in all the nook and crannies. You have to do that. You cannot season thinking that I'm Aaron Franklin of Texas. I'm put some salt and pepper on the outside. I'm good. No. No. Unless you cut that brisket and make burnt ends, which I love to death. But the problem with burnt ends is that when I cook them, they don't last very long around here because my friends, my family, everybody want burnt ends. But burnt ends is different because you got to put a lot more love and effort into it. So burnt ends is a little bit different. But people come here from miles around, they want burnt ends. Hell, I want burnt ends. But in this video, I'm going to show you that I did not create any burnt ends. No, I want burnt ends as much as you do. But burnt ends is a lot of extra work. And it's something that is a lot of extra work, and you have to have yourself prepared to be doing or trimming a brisket all day. And now burnt ends comes after the fact. You can take your flat part or whatever you want to do. Burnt ends is after the fact. And see, when people come and they want brisket, they all want burnt ends. But here's the deal. You ain't getting no damn burnt ends here. Because the burnt ends are very, very precious. And when I cook them, it's very precious. And so when I make them, it's very precious. And I give them to a few select friends of mine. Not to any and everybody. I just can't do that. Because burnt ends is time consuming and it's not a lot. It don't take a lot of burnt ends to fill you up. It do not take a lot of burnt ends to fill you up. Burnt ends is an honored tradition, and burnt ends is something that I save for a few friends. Now, I've taken an entire brisket and made it out of burnt ends, but I can do that on a round top piece of meat too, which is a lot cheaper than brisket. Brisket is the throat area of the cow. It's thick. You know, it's one of the hardest working muscles that the cow has. I don't know if the cow has a muscle that works harder than a brisket. Every step you take, every time it opens its mouth, that muscle tightens up. So my whole point is, I gave you the 12 things you don't do with a brisket. But if you want your brisket to come out good, season it correctly and have a consistent temperature, and don't be opening the smoker every hour to see if it's done. It's not done. It takes hours to get it done. There are 3 major times I look at my brisket. I look at the smoke ring on it, time number 1. Time number 2, I check the temperature internally after about halfway through to make sure I'm still on schedule to finish when I want to finish. And the 3rd time is easy. I'm taking it off the smoker because the 2nd time tells me when I'm going to wrap. And normally that's about the time I'm going to wrap is the 2nd time when I look at the temperature internally and say, okay, now I got 165 degrees. I'm ready to wrap. 3rd time, I'm taking off. I'm taking it off the smoker and saying, okay, I'm done. So like I said, you got 3 times, and then, when you do the 4th time, it's already 3rd time. When you do that, you can decide then if you want to create burnt ends. You can decide right then, get your barbecue sauce ready, get everything ready, get your au jus ready. I'm ready for burnt ends. But you cannot go there if you're not ready to go there and don't know what it means to go there. And a lot of you, what I'm trying to tell you in this video is that I want your friends to come back and have a good time. I want you to be able to create burnt ends and wrap and have au jus. Those are things that I want you to be able to do. And some of you, no matter how much I tell you, DJ Leon's going to tell you. You're just not qualified. You just can't do it because I don't even know what to say. Because your mind is not right. To do a brisket is not something you want to do on your first cook. You don't want to do a brisket on your first cook. Master your brisket, and I'm going to be upfront about it. I probably cook about 15 briskets before I felt well enough to have friends come over and try my brisket. I probably cooked about 15 briskets. It wasn't like I cooked 1 or 2 and say, I'm good. Some of you feel that way. After 1 brisket, you got it down packed. Let me come over and taste your food because I'm telling you right now, that brisket is not going to be good. And those of you who can cook a 20-pound or 15-pound brisket in 15 minutes, don't invite me over to your house. Don't invite me nowhere. Just don't invite me. I'm not saying you can't get some drunks, that you're giving liquor to or rum to or whatever you're doing. I'm not saying you can't get them to do it. Just you can't get me to do it because A brisket is low and slow and takes a long time. A brisket is all about cooking out of love. And you know what? You can never really put too much salt and pepper on your brisket. You can't put too much on it. But you got to know what it is you're putting on it and for how long. But look at your bark, and your bark will tell you when it's time to crank up the temperature. I smoke mine for about 2 or 3 hours at 185 degrees, sometimes a little lower. Now with the temper line, because the temperature is so consistent across the entire surface area, I don't have to do a lot of work. But when it comes to the Pro 34, one side is going to be well done before the other side get to the same temperature. And you can't put it at 185 and forget it, or 250 or 275 and forget it. You can't do that. On the Pro 34, because one side gets hotter than the other side, you got to be ready to go on the other. You got to be ready to turn it around. Whether you flip it, scratch it, whatever you're going to do, you got to be ready to go, because that's just how it works. So this is your boy DJ Leon D telling you, this is how you do a brisket, my style. And you know what? It's going to come out perfect for you every time you follow my instructions. Peace out. This is your boy DJ Leon D.